Hello, feather. Fucking feathers. I'm out of practice. You know what? I don't want to do a shitpost Friday this week.
To help celebrate our release of the vintage penny humbucker helper copper guitar pick, I'm giving away a 1/10 of an ounce silver guitar pick to one of the next 100 people to order and leave a review on their copper humbucker helper. Exclusive on Reverb. Click below.
Hey y'all, it's Shitpost Friday.
Hey, how's it going, fellow lizard people? Brad the Guitologist here. Fuck it, let's do a Shitpost Friday. Okay, following the theme of Shitpost Fridays past, when we've dealt with all of the dark, dirgy disgustingness of life here on planet Earth, that is death and decay of our aging rock star brethren. We continue that trend here this Shitpost Friday as we talk about Ozzy Osbourne, first of all, who has been suffering pneumonia, had to cancel all of his 2019 show dates. Then he fell at his house. Anyway, he's canceled all of his 2019 show dates now, and don't know if he's going to be back. Don't know if he's going to be back to touring. He claims he is. He released a statement. He says, "I can't believe I have to reschedule. Words cannot express how frustrated, angry, and depressed I am." Yada, yada, yada. I mean, it sounds basically like a press release. That's something that they're telling people. And they actually tell people also that to hold on to their tickets and that the tickets will be honored at rescheduled gigs. Well, you know, no offense. I love Ozzy. I wouldn't bet the farm on that one. I think I would probably be trying to get my money back for my ticket and just buy another ticket later on if he comes back, because Ozzy's one of those guys, man. You know, I mean, a lot of rock stars seem to do well into their 70s. You know, I mean, I could probably sit here and cite some examples. B.B. King, you know, people like this, you know, they seem to do okay. B.B. King, I think, was in his 80s. And, you know, you've got a lot of examples, actually, of people who were able. But B.B. King sat down probably for the last, I don't know, 20 years that he played guitar. So, but Ozzy, you know, he's still trying to dance around stage, or at least do this, you know, around stage. Sharon! But he makes it from one side of the stage to the other, you know, still sort of. But he's always, you know, been, and I don't mean to laugh at, you know, Ozzy's distress. That's not the point. That's awful. It sounds like I'm laughing at him, but I'm not. I'm not laughing at Ozzy. But he's always been one of these guys that struck me as being older than he actually is. You know, I mean, you look at Ozzy and you think, yeah, he's 70 years old. I think I just looked and he was born in, what, 1948. So he's 70. I guess he'll turn 71 this year. But he's always struck me as somebody who's slightly older than he is. You know, like he has had some hard living. Those aren't just, you know, regular, you know, dad worked at the factory years. These are Ozzy Osbourne years, snorting lines of army ants. But anyway, he's not alone, actually, in this decrepitness. Seems like Father Time is actually finally starting to catch up to one of the Rolling Stones. Mick Jagger is having trouble. He has had open heart surgery, very much like Lindsey Buckingham. Hopefully they don't screw up his voice box like they screwed up Lindsey Buckingham. But anyway, Mick Jagger, I mean, there's a good example. Mick Jagger, he's 75 years old, but he still gets it, you know, back and forth across the stage. He's 5 years older than Ozzy, and he looks like he's, you know, 10 years younger than Ozzy. He looks like an old guy, don't get me wrong, in the face. When you look at him, he's got the lines. Those are Mick Jagger years too, but at the same time, he seems fit. He can skip around and stay, you know, you would still entrust him to sign a contract for next year's Super Bowl, you know what I mean? And he might show up. There's a good chance that Mick Jagger will probably be okay and show up to that Super Bowl. But Ozzy, man, you look at him and he's like, man, poor Ozzy. But anyway, we wish both these guys all the best, obviously. I don't mean to, you know, seem like I'm laughing at these dudes, but, you know, you have to laugh at it. Right now, as I speak, my back is killing me. You know, I've been sleeping wrong, and I'm 41, and I can feel, you know, I can feel my years, too. Man, my heroes are dropping left and right, and it just, you know, sometimes you just got to laugh at things. Anyway, death. We'll see what the future holds for Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones. They're getting up there, man, and I don't, you know, anytime you get a chance to see somebody like that, weigh what it's really worth to you. I know tickets are an arm and a leg anymore. You can't really see any of these guys for probably under $500 probably to get decent seats that aren't like at the top of some
Civic Sports Memorial Performing Arts Theater Dome.
You know, and by that point, you're just watching them on the Jumbotron anyway, so you might as well just watch it on YouTube to be quite honest, unless you got some VIP passes or something, and you can probably stack another $3,000 or $4,000 on that. And if you meet the band, it's going to cost you like $35,000. Of course, that was charity money apparently, but you know, it's a completely different world we're growing up in now from, you know, the old school days when you could go see a good bands for $5-10, you know, and have good seats and be pretty close to them, you know, anywhere in the place. So if these are your heroes, see them while you can, because I missed some of my heroes growing up, and you know, never have that chance back again. So here's something I ran across the other day when I was just trolling the net. This Guitar World article about this woodworm infested guitar. I mean, this thing is just absolutely disgusting. And apparently this isn't an isolated case either. You know, I never really considered it. But yes, of course, woodworm would be a problem. I mean, anywhere in Europe where woodworm is common, of course you're going to get woodworm in some guitars. You know, it just never occurred to me before. You get it in antique furniture, and a lot of times that's how they authenticate and date antique furniture, as if they have like woodworm in it. And that's like from years of me watching like antique shows on BBC. Don't judge me. But yeah, this was just absolutely disgusting. I mean, I've never actually seen a woodworm before, and I guess, you know, again, it's one of those situations. Part of me, I guess, knew they existed, like intellectually, but I just never really thought about it. It's like, what does a woodworm look like? But yeah, man, they actually just look like maggots, man. It just looks like the guitar is just crawling with maggots. Absolutely just disgusting, unbelievable stuff. But I can't imagine what they're going to try to do to mitigate this or to repair this guitar. I mean, this thing is gone. I mean, look at it. It's just riddled with holes. There's really no way back for this thing unless they want to just, I mean, half of the guitar is going to have to be injected with some epoxy or something, you know, and maybe they could do that. Maybe inject it with some like clear epoxy and like then sand it all down and and just leave the holes like where you could see them, like almost like an ant farm or something. And just, and if you can, just like encase the you know, encase the worms inside of it, so you can, you know, you can hold it up and like still see them just trapped in there, like in like a Han Solo death. This is getting morbid. I see I needed that break just so I could come back and be all gloomy and morbid and just laugh. But yeah, man, maggots in your guitar. Yum, yum. Then we come to this article that I saw. This is an interesting article. This reminds me of some articles I read back in the day. Heavy metal is the thinking person's music. I've always kind of agreed with that. I think even just anecdotally in my own mind, just thinking about the people, the personality types, and the intelligences of the people that I've known and the various types of music that they've listened to. You know, I know people who listen to all kinds of music, and the people who listen to heavy metal are probably up there, probably in intelligence, I would have to say, in my estimation. I mean, I haven't made them take tests, but you know, you can tell when somebody's pretty intelligent when you've hung out with them long enough and they can carry on discussions and on a variety of topics, and they're creative thinkers and they're analytical thinkers, or they might have you know, different kinds of intelligences that exist in different measures in different people. But at any rate, yeah, heavy metal is probably up there. I'd have to say jazz is probably up there too. I don't know many people who listen to straight jazz. You know, I listen to older jazz. I'll listen to like old swing music and stuff a lot too, which I guess that's not jazz, but you know, I listen to all kinds of stuff, man. But I would have to say, yeah, definitely. Heavy metal music is probably up there. I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say about this. There was, like, I was going to say, there's an article way back in the day that I remember that was talking about the same thing, and they actually had done studies on this. Like, they got serious about it. Well, I guess it was probably somebody's, I don't know, research study or project in school or something, because they really went in depth with it. And they kind of rated the intelligence of people who listen to these various types of music. And heavy metal was either at or near the top, up there with jazz. Classical was also kind of up there, if I remember correctly. You know what? I'm going to try to find that now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, here we go. The secret of high SAT scores is hidden in your taste in music. I never took the SAT. I took the ACT. I wasn't going to take any of those, actually, because I wasn't planning on going to college right out of high school. And I had a really supportive, really enthusiastic English teacher, and she paid for the test and kind of made me take it. And she was like, "You are going to take this," and I was like, "I don't want to do that." And she made me take it, but when I went, I got absolutely fried right before going in to take the ACT test. And ended up getting a 27, and I was higher than a kite. And actually, I figured out later, most of those tests, people like take practice tests and all that shit. I didn't do any of that. I just went in blind, and I got like a 27, which I thought was pretty good. It seemed like. I don't remember the exact scale of ACT, but I did look it up the other day just out of curiosity because I was talking about it with my wife, and I think we determined that ACT and SAT, the conversion is like, a 27 would be like a 1250 or 1300-ish, somewhere in there. SAT composite, something like that. But anyway, I think that's pretty good for a dude who was fried out of his gourd and took no practice tests. Okay, so this article came out last year, or is updated last year. So this might not be the one I was thinking of. Oh, okay, they've actually got average SAT scores clustered with different bands. Okay, so how interesting is this? Beethoven is, obviously way over here on the high end. And I'm a huge Beethoven fan, so what does that say about me? I swear, man, my my radio in my car just stays on classical constantly. So why don't they have Bach on here? He would probably be maybe even further over than Beethoven. But it looks like some of the, and way down the scale, actually, you start getting into Radiohead, who I like, Bob Dylan, who I like, Ben Folds, who I just absolutely hate. I hate Ben Folds. I can't listen to that shit. I mean, it's not even that he plays piano. That's not it at all. I love piano music. It's just the fact that it's just like, dude, play the fucking piano, stop beating on it, you know what I mean? Or something. Or like, sit the fuck down. You're not you're not Jerry Lee, asshole. Sit down and play the fucking thing. No offense to Ben Folds fans. It's just, I don't know. I just never got into the guy. Nora Jones, whose voice I like, but she really doesn't fit. She's kind of her own thing. She kind of doesn't. I listened to her do a duet on a Belle and Sebastian album. I'm a big Belle and Sebastian fan, and she did a duet on one of their albums, and it just didn't fit. It just like it didn't translate into what they were doing. Really, it's one of the weaker tracks on that album. So, and plus, I've never gotten into her solo stuff anyway, so I'm not much of a Nora Jones fan. But she's sitting there right at about the same level as the Shins, who I love. I love the Shins. They came out with a couple of good albums. I didn't follow them after their first two albums. But Chutes Too Narrow by the Shins, great album. If you don't have that one, or if you haven't heard it, definitely listen to that album. Great album. Led Zeppelin underneath there at about the 1150 range. You got the Beatles kind of in that same sort of range with Fish and Beck. I like Zeppelin. I like the Beatles. I like Beck. Big Beck fan. David Bowie. I never got really into David Bowie. I've always liked David Bowie. I just never was a huge, I wasn't a fanatic about David Bowie. I didn't start dressing in lipstick and high heels, let's put it that way. But I do like David Bowie. I'm surprised to see, actually, that Pink Floyd is beneath all of those aforementioned bands in the kind of 1100 SAT range right there. That's interesting to me. I wouldn't have guessed that. I would have guessed Pink Floyd would be a little higher. But then again, Pink Floyd has a very wide, they cast a wide net. I think they have a lot of hits, but they also have a lot of those longer, more drawn out songs that are just epic in nature that you have to, I think you probably have to have some attention span to get into. So they do cast a wide net. So I guess I can see that, but more than Led Zeppelin? I mean, Led Zeppelin casts, I would say, a wider net than that. And I've known biker dudes who were dumb as a post who loved Led Zeppelin. You know what I mean? But then again, they also loved Pink Floyd. And I'm not saying biker dudes are dumb. I'm just saying some of the dudes I'm thinking of, that were kind of dumb. That just, you know, "Oh my God," you know, zip, yeah. You know, I'm just thinking my own personal experience. This may not translate onto your life, so. But yeah, Pink Floyd, The Dead, right there together. John Mayer, I would have thought John Mayer would be way down the list. Not a John Mayer fan, I have to say. I think his playing is phenomenal. I think his vocal quality is good, and I think he's a good performer. I just have never gotten into him as an artist. It's just not something that appeals to me. It doesn't speak to me on any kind of visceral level. So, to me, it's just like window dressing. You know, it could either be there or not be there. With me standing naked in the living room. Then you got Bob Marley, Frank Sinatra, Rage Against the Machine. Nirvana and Tool are kind of there in the same sort of band, right at about the 1075 range. With System of a Down, I like all three of those bands a lot. But yeah, pretty interesting stuff. You got Metallica down there below. What is that, the pass score or something? They've got like a dotted line. Again, I don't know anything about the SATs. I just know that if I had taken it, I would have fucking aced it. So, you know, there's always that. Johnny Cash, let's see. I love this. Lil Wayne is down there in the 800s. And why am I not fucking surprised? Beyonce. What is... Let's see if we can find a pattern here down on the low end. Lil Wayne, Beyonce, Jay-Z, Justin Timberlake, Aerosmith? No fucking way. I guess I can see that. But then again, that goes back to kind of, you know, the biker culture and all that stuff. You know, Aerosmith. Like some of the same dudes who would just scream about Aerosmith would scream about Led Zeppelin also. So, you know, or Pink Floyd also. And they liked them for kind of the same reasons. It's like, you know, we rock, you know. So, I don't know. But Nickelback, that's, not, again, not surprising. Fucking Kenny Chesney, not surprising. Ludacris, not surprising. Carrie Underwood, not surprising. Garth Brooks, My Chemical Romance, Disturbed. I've never liked Disturbed. You know, they're one of these kind of, my wife calls them generic Amero rock bands. You know, where they all kind of just blend together and sort of sound the same after a while. Like they're about the mid 2000s, you know, like I don't know, maybe very late 90s into about maybe 2008, 2009ish kind of range. You know, you had all these just generic rock bands. Everybody sounding the fucking same. And there's just one of those that stick out to me that I remember that just sounded, you know, everybody was sounding the same. The Doors, I can't believe that they're not a little bit higher. I would have thought they would be up there with the Grateful Dead kind of range, around the 1100. But just, you know, I mean, this is stupid. It's all kind of dumb, but it is interesting stuff. And then you go a little further down, they break it down into genres, which might be a little more telling. This is kind of what I was getting at a little earlier, I suppose. But if you look at the medians here, the median scores, alt and alternative and indie music. I mean, I love alternative and indie music, like, you know, stuff like the Shins, and actually several bands kind of in the early 2000s. You know, there were the only good stuff it seemed like worth listening to in the early 2000s were indie bands. Some of the alternative bands had kind of started to jump the shark to me. You know, and some of my 90s grunge heroes were starting to jump the shark and starting to release stuff I really didn't get into that much. So, you know, I don't know. It seemed like the only thing worth listening to and worth getting into at that point were indie bands. So, but then you got rock, who are way up there. Have they left classical off? They left classical off this one. Jazz is actually down there with blues and folk. Metal, unfortunately, man, you know what? Metal, you're not doing so hot for whatever reason. You know, like I said, I was surprised that Tool, you you know, System of a Down, Metallica. I would have expected maybe not so much Metallica, because Metallica, their early stuff was really intelligent music. It was really well made stuff. It was stuff that you could analyze. You know, there was a lot to unpack with a Metallica record. It wasn't just like, you know, I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but anyway. Their later stuff just got dumber and dumber and dumber, so I can maybe understand why that would have lowered their score over time. But Tool, I mean, you know, I understand maybe a lot of people who like Tool are kind of questionable. But at the same time, you know, their music, like to really unpack and understand their music is highly intelligent music. They don't do 4/4 time, you know, really. They don't do your standard 3/4 time, or, you know, they don't do your standard time signatures at all. It's like 5/4, or it's like 7/8, or it's, you know, it's something strange, which is just, again, it's why it's kind of interesting to me that they would be lower than Jack Johnson. Why would they be lower than Jack Johnson? I mean, I like Jack Johnson for his, you know, his lyrics are okay. You know, I've always thought, well, you know, he's got an interesting turn of phrase in that part right there. Or, you know, that's always struck me about him. But, you know, I couldn't listen to any more of his stuff than I would listen to fucking, you know, Jimmy Buffett or something, you know. I don't know. It's just like this whole I'm laid back, beachy kind of attitude guy. You know, I'm that guy. I don't know. Let's go surfing and let's lay on the beach under the stars, and I don't know. Fuck. What am I talking about? What the fuck am I talking about? This is dumb. But it's interesting. Way down on the bottom of the scale, you've got R&B and soul, and punk. Rap and pop are above R&B and soul, and I think, again, that's just a testament to how wide of a net that that rap and pop cast today. I don't think it's necessarily a testament to how smart a lot of the people are, because I would have to say that people who listen to R&B and soul, in my experience, my life experience tells me those people are way smarter than the rap pop people, because the rap pop people tend to be younger and they don't know shit. Young people are stupid. No offense if you're young, but, you know, I mean, it takes you a while to realize this, but, you know, when you become my age, you get this kind of get off my lawn attitude, and yeah, young people just look dumber and dumber every day. It's the fucking truth, though. But then you got Latin music up above that, and it's interesting about Latin music because the part of the world where Latin music comes from is not known for doing very well on standardized tests that test for IQ. You know, for whatever reason you want to say it, because if it's poverty or if it's lack of access to resources or whatever it is you want to say, the reasons are. But that has tended to be the case. So it's interesting to see that Latin music is up there. Country music is a very you have to me you have kind of two sides to the country coin. You have the people who like real country music, where you have you know, good lyrical content. You have stuff that's not like, you know, Daisy Dukes, Big Shorts, you know, I don't know, fucking Beer on Ice, Back Seat, you know, just whatever. This bro country shit that's out now is the worst shit I've ever heard in my entire life. Absolutely fucking appalling. And I would say the people who listen to that, you're way below Nickelback in my estimation. You're down there with fucking Lil Wayne. You really are. You're down there in the 800 zone, and from what I can see. I mean, just to and as a matter of fact, if you like bro country and you're watching this right now, just get the fuck out. just go. You're in timeout. Go smarten up and then come back. So you got electronic music. Bluegrass music is above electronic music. I'm not surprised by that either, because you've got a lot of people, some real idiots, who listen to electronic music. I suppose you've got some mentally challenged people who listen to bluegrass, but at the same time, man, you've got to play bluegrass. That's something different. Like being a fan of this genre or being able to play this genre. Now, those are two different things. I would like to see that chart, like the difference between, you know, the mere fans of a style of music and the people who can actually play that style of music. I would say the people who could play it are, on average, they're going to be above it the average anyway, or the mean, regardless, because, you know, just your sheer ability and tenacity to stick to an instrument and to play the instrument shows some level of intelligence. So, you know, I would say right away you're probably above the mean for your particular chosen style of music. But, you know, I would say as far as difficulty of play, I'm not sure which one would be first, but you're looking at classical, metal, bluegrass. Those three are up, and jazz. Those four actually would be up there, with probably jazz and classical duking it out for the top spot, in my estimation. So what do you think? I would be interested to hear from you guys on all this. I'm not going to edit this video very much, and that's in my effort to try to just keep it moving, keep it fresh, and not have to do so much damn editing. And you know, like I said, Shitpost Friday just started to get really worn down for me, and it probably kind of showed there by the last couple of them, and maybe that's why my viewership sort of tanked. But also I was thinking about it too, and you know, the last couple, the weather was starting to get pretty decent too, so I think a lot of people were going on spring break and you know, going out instead of watching YouTube, which is you know, a good idea. So anyway, that'll do it for this Shitpost Friday. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you have, please hit subscribe down below. Hit the bell to receive all notifications. Otherwise, you're probably not going to get them. And we'll see y'all later.